Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a 2022 American absurdist comedy drama film written and directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, collectively known as the Daniels, who produced it with Anthony and Joe Russo. The plot centers on a Chinese-American immigrant played by Michelle Yeoh, who, while being audited by the IRS, discovers that she might connect with parallel universe versions of herself to prevent a powerful being from destroying the multiverse. The New York Times called the film a swirl of genre anarchy with elements of surreal comedy, science fiction, fantasy, martial arts films, and animation. Kwan and Scheinert began to work on the project in 2010, and production was announced in 2018. Principal photography ran from January to March 2020. The soundtrack features compositions by Sunlux, including collaborations with Mitski, David Byrne, Andre 3000, John Hampson, and Randy Newman. Everything Everywhere All at Once premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival on March 11, 2022, and began a limited theatrical release in the United States on March 25, 2022, before a wide release by A24 on April 8th. It was commercially successful and grossed about $107 million worldwide, becoming A24's first film to cross the $100 million mark, surpassing Hereditary in 2018 as its highest-grossing film. The film has received near universal acclaim for its portrayal and philosophical concepts such as existentialism, nihilism, absurdism, as well as other themes including generational trauma, ADHD, and Asian American identity. The movie's accolades include being named in the top 10 films of 2022 by the National Board of Review and the American Film Institute, 2 Golden Globes for Yeoh and Kwan at the 80th Golden Globe Awards from 6 nominations, including Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy and Director, and 5 awards for leading 14 nominations at the 28th Critic Choice Awards, including Best Picture, and 5 nominations at the 29th Screen Actors Guild Awards, including acting nominations for the overall ensemble and individual nominations for Yeoh, Kwan, Shu, and Curtis, and 10 nominations at the 76th British Academy of Film Awards, including Best Film. And finally, 11 nominations at the 95th Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and becoming the most nominated film of the ceremony. The cast includes Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn Kwan Wang, a dissatisfied and overwhelmed laundromat owner, and as several other versions of Evelyn in alternate universes. Stephanie Hsu as Joy Wang, Evelyn's daughter, and Joby Tupaki, Alpha Evelyn's homicidal daughter, whose growing nihilism is the threat to the entire multiverse. Huy Quan as Wayman Wang, Evelyn's meek and goofy husband, whose existentialism is the antidote to Joby's nihilism, as well as Alpha Waymond from the Alphaverse and other versions of Waymond in an alternative universes. James Hong as Gong Gong, in Cantonese meaning grandfather, Evelyn's demanding father, and Alpha Gong Gong, Alpha Evelyn's father in the Alphaverse, who wants Evelyn to sacrifice Joy to impede Jobu. Jamie Lee Curtis as Deirdre Bobadier, an IRS inspector, and several other versions of Deirdre in alternate universes. Co-directors Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert began researching the concept of the multiverse as early as 2010, after being exposed to the concept of model realism in Ross Murkalui's documentary Sherman's March in 1986. Kwan described the release of the animated film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in 2018, which also deals with the multiversal concept, as a little upsetting because we were like, oh shit, everyone's going to beat us to this thing before we work on it. He also stated watching the second season of Rick and Morty was really painful. I was like, they've already done all the ideas we thought were original. In early drafts of the screenplay, the directors planned for the main character to be a professor and have undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, better known as ADHD. Through his research for the project, Kwan learned that he had undiagnosed ADHD. Scenes in which Evelyn trains in martial arts and becomes an action film star were visually and contextually inspired by the films of Wong Kar-wai. In the universe where Evelyn and Joy are rocks, which was influenced by the children's book Sylvester and the Magic Pebble in 1969 and the video game Everything in 2017. Kwan has said the idea of Everything Bagel started as just a throwaway joke. Scheinert said that they spent time attempting to develop the religion of bagel followers, but encountered complications. Jobu Takanaki, a nihilist, should be their dogma, should be their book. What should their practices be as a religion? The bagel stuck because it became such a useful, simple symbol that we could point to as filmmakers, and you don't have to explain it beyond much of the joke. The script was written for Jackie Chan until Kwan and Scheinert reconceived the protagonist as a woman, feeling it would make the husband-wife dynamic in the story more relatable. The new script's lead character was initially named Michelle Wang, according to Michelle Yeoh, who said if you asked the Daniels when they started off the draft, they focused on, well, we are doing this for Michelle Yeoh. The character's name was eventually changed to Evelyn, despite the parallels between herself and the universe in which Evelyn is a martial artist and a film star. Yeoh opposed naming the character Michelle. Evelyn deserves her own story to be told. This is a very ordinary mother and housewife who's trying her best to be a good mother to her daughter and a good daughter to her father and a wife that keeps trying to keep the family together. She said, "I don't like to integrate me, Michelle Yeoh, into the characters that I play because they all deserve their own journey and their own stories to be told." It was announced in August 2018 that Yeoh and Awkwafina had been cast to star in which they described as an interdimensional action film with Kwan and Scheinert directing. Awkwafina left the project in January 2020 due to scheduling conflicts and was replaced by Stephanie Hsu. James Hong, Huy Quan, and Jamie Lee Curtis all joined the cast. It marked Kwan's return to film acting, for which he had retired in 2002 due to the lack of casting opportunities. Kwan and Scheinert were inspired to cast Kwan after seeing a meme of the politician Andrew Yang being shown as a grown-up version of Short Round, Kwan's character from the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in 1984. They were curious to learn what Kwan had been up to and learned that he was the right age for Waymond. Coincidentally, Kwan had decided to return to acting around the same time frame because he was approached for the role. Kwan's former Goonies co-star Jeff Cohen served as the attorney to negotiate his deal for the film. Now, I found this film to be absolutely groundbreaking. It's bold, it's unique, it's completely and utterly self-indulgent, but then that's also what makes it work. I don't believe this will be a film that everybody enjoys. As for me, this is a complete abstract work, where the Daniels went to the depths of their imagination to create something that's so unique, so superb, and so original and authentic that it really just stands out. Led by the outstanding Michelle Yeoh, the film really lives up to its fantastic title with an expertly well put together assault on the senses. This film is incredibly imaginative and also lots of fun. It can be overwhelming at times because it's so frenetically paced. It's so busy and visually demanding at times that your eyes almost cannot keep up with what's happening on screen. The direction here from the Daniels is absolutely on point. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to edit a film like this. From the quick scene changes to the outstanding costume designs, each scene will encapsulate you visually with its overall fantastic splendor. But the story also handles the underlying theme very well, as there's many symbolisms within the whole film. Yeoh is definitely the anchor of the film, and this role really showcases her wide array of talents, from her fine martial arts skills to her superb comedic timing and her ability to showcase her many range of emotions, including shades of melancholy, regret, resolve, and growing curiosity. For me, this is almost a film that gives Yeoh a second chance at a great career, encompassing her hugely emotive skills, plus now, of course, reliving her fantastic global icon status as a martial artist. This film is large, it's elaborate, it's well put together, and it's a detailed expression of a unique vision. This is a hugely ambitious project, which I'm happy to say the Daniels have delivered upon. My one gripe may be the running time, as the film does feel somewhat overlong, but in the same breath though, it's so well put together that you can almost allow for it. For me, this film handles the idea of the multiverse in a much more subtle and brilliant way compared to the sometimes over-the-top and overcomplicated way that other movies, particularly the Marvel Universe, has of late. And while the visuals are so creative and over-the-top, the action sequences hectic and entertaining, and there's lots of course science fiction mumbo-jumbo, which of course all play into the big part of the fun of the film. Underneath all of this lies actually a bittersweet tale of a wife battling to save her marriage, a story of an immigrant starving to find her place in the world, and of course also now trying to balance the dynamic of the mother-daughter relationship. The themes of existentialism and nihilism are handled perfectly within this film, as it concentrates on the idea of our lone hope of recourse is to embrace the love and beauty surrounding us right now, if we're present enough, of course, to realize it. The film also explores the Asian American identity, and for me the theme of the multiverse almost acts as a way Asian Americans have to divide their own personalities between their family life, their work life, and who the West wants to embrace them as. And the theme of a bagel almost acts as the doomsday of vice. In the first half of the movie, people think that the bagel is here to destroy the world. In the second half, you realize it's just a depressed person trying to destroy themselves. It takes everything about action movies and turns it into something much more personal. I must also compliment the acting here of Huy Quan as Waymond Wang. He's absolutely superb in this role, and you can see he really took it on with every breath of his being. And I particularly loved Stephanie Hsu here as Joy Wang, or of course Jobo Tupaki. She's absolutely excellent, and her costume changes are just wonderful to witness. And Jamie Lee Curtis is almost unrecognizable here as Deirdre. It's a completely and utterly different role for Jamie Lee Curtis, and I think a very brave choice by her, and a wonderful casting choice as well. Look, like I said at the start of this review, this won't be a film that everybody enjoys. It might seem too busy, too over the top, too far-fetched, but I think for me that's what makes this film work. It's so unique, it's so original, it's so different, and it's so bold. It's groundbreaking filmmaking at its best, and I feel that you will not see a film like this ever again. It's just so unique and different. From its phenomenal direction, its excellent acting, its wonderful editing, and of course its fantastic concept, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once gets a 9.5 out of 10.